What's up, good people? My name is Kashaya, your host with Ls2Elevation. And I was taking some time the other day to scroll through my YouTube page, and I realized I haven't given y'all much information about my situation. And so this video is going to be just that. I'm going to do my best to give you the details you've probably been desiring. And I'm going to finally talk about my side of the story. So, my name is Kashaya. I am from a small place called Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I am none of your business years old. No, I'm playing. I'm 34 years old. And I ain't going all the way back to childhood because I'm just trying to share with y'all how I got in this current situation concerning being cyberstalked and targeted by some of your favorites. And that's what I want to talk about today. How I got here. Here. All right. So for me, and y'all, I'm still trying to figure out angles when it comes to recording. So I'm trying to give y'all better video quality here and there when I'm able to. And then figure out this whole where to look at thing because I ain't got it yet. But keep rolling. So for me, the cyber stalking began with this male I dated. And so this male that I dated, I met him. I went to North Carolina A&T State University, and there was this girl that I was friends with. She was from Liberia, and she invited me to the graduation party that she had. When I went to this graduation party, the male that I ended up dating was at the party. Now, the male happened to be best friends with the girl that I was friends with. Her brother was his best friend, and so that's how he was also at this party. So met him at the party. We talked for a little bit. I believe he invited me to his house. I went to his house. He had made a meal. Now, me being me at that time, I wasn't thinking, but the meal he made was some type of African spaghetti, okay? He is also a Liberian male. But shout out to Liberia too. Not the bad ones. Not y'all bad ones. Him being an example of one. But just shout out to Liberia just for the food itself. I love Liberian food. That's one of the things that I'm very grateful for that I got out of that situation is the food. I love Liberian food. Anywho, so I met him at this party. We talked. He invited me over to his house after talking for a while. Went to his house. He made spaghetti. I tried the spaghetti. Didn't think nothing of it. Uh, Things progressed from there. I think his birthday was not far from the time that we had met, and so every year for his birthday, he always takes a trip. And so at the time, and still kind of, I was spontaneous. So I would just get up and try new things. Now, the funny thing to me when I look back and process this situation is that I was reading this book and it was by I think her name was Kate Doyle or something like that, but it was a single surrender book. And in the book she gives women different um things that they can take into play or put into practice as far as making space for a partner or making space to be more feminine and different things like that. And so I applied the processes that she put in her book. And so in doing so, I met this toxic individual. Not saying don't follow the steps. I'm just saying don't be as I was back then. And anywho, so his birthday wasn't long after I met him. We ended up going to Puerto Rico. So we went to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico was beautiful. Absolutely love Puerto Rico. From there, during the time of our relationship, it was up and down. My relationship with him was very up and down because He just couldn't get right. He was always doing something or always messaging some girl, or he kind of had this back and forth where he would do nice things. I remember one time my car at the time had messed up, and he literally went and bought the equipment to fix the car, did his best to fix it. I don't think he ended up fixing it, but he ended up having somebody else fix it and make sure that it was okay. But he did buy the part to make sure that the car was fixed. So he would do like little nice things, but then he would also do like stupid stuff. So he was very, we're gonna use the word outside. Okay, he was very outside. He didn't have the right home training, but he did have home training. He just didn't have the proper home training. I'm not sure if he had a good example of what a relationship should be. um and I know, me looking back, I didn't always have a great example of what a relationship should be. So it's clearly how I was with this character. So throughout the relationship, he kept talking to different girls. We would break up, to make up, on and off, all types of different things. Eventually, there was one point in the relationship where he had this female best friend, and he wouldn't let her go. We had a whole conversation about that, and I know all the girls have already had a conversation about that. We had that conversation. I also had a male best friend. I'm not going to not include my items as well, because I've already taken accountability for these relationships, right? And so the difference between me and my male best friend versus him and his female best friend is that when it came to me being in relationships, my male best friend was basically on the back burner. Not because we weren't best friends, but because we respected each other's relationships. So even when it came to my male best friend at the time having relationships, I would back off, only because, one, I knew we were cool, or I assumed we were cool, and so whoever he was with didn't really matter. I was his friend, but I cared for him enough to know that if he was building a relationship, and that if his partner was not comfortable with my presence, then I would remove myself until they were able to at least build a great foundation, and then he could figure out if and when and how he was going to introduce me to his partner. And so that wasn't the case with this individual that I was dating. Like, he never introduced me to this girl, or and none of those things, but she was always there. Supposedly, he needed somebody to talk to. So, okay. So as time went on, eventually down the line, I ended up getting pregnant. Looking back, I'm so grateful that it did not come to term. Was I sad at the time? Yes, but I ended up having a miscarriage. So I told him maybe like a day or two after I found out that I was pregnant. He ended up deciding that we should go to a Indian restaurant. And we went to this Indian restaurant. I can't believe if I had curry or something or not. But I know maybe like a few days later, I ended up like just cramping really, really, really bad. And I ended up miscarrying the pregnancy. So I've never had an abortion. I don't care what story you've been told concerning that. I've never had an abortion. I can't speak for other people that you might sit under or listen to. I've never had an abortion. I had a miscarriage. And so we ended up going on another trip shortly after the miscarriage. Um when there was a Thanksgiving, and I know the story is a little bit gonna be kind of back and forth because I'm trying to just recall to the best of my knowledge in sequence as best as possible, but with how I talk, that might not it might not be the case. But I want to share with you my side of the story. So there was a holiday that came up when we first started dating. It was Thanksgiving, and we had this Thanksgiving at my sister's house. Now, at the time, I had a younger cousin who had this best friend of hers, and her and the best friend would always show up every Thanksgiving. This is important because my little cousin's best friend was the girl that he ended up um choosing to date after I decided that I was done. I discovered that he was talking to this girl because I had a dream, but she also kept doing like little stupid dumb stuff. One of the stupid dumb things, or one of the things that caught my attention, was that anytime I made a post on Instagram at the time, she was always the very first person to click on it. Like the very first person. And so once I started to pick up on little things, um, I started putting two and two together, right? I didn't have any concrete evidence, but I had the gumption in my spirit. And so one night I ended up having a dream about this girl. So the dream was that the guy I was dating at the time and this girl, they were out on this trip. And so during the trip, it was the girl and her friends and the guy that I was dating. This is all in the dream now. And they were sitting on the couch just laughing, having a good time. But in the dream, he seemed so happy. And even when I woke up from the dream, even though it was like, okay, that was weird because in essence, this is the person at the time that I was dating. Um, he was really happy in the dream. And so when I woke up from the dream, I was at peace from it. But I shared the dream with him. He just kind of snickered and was like, that was kind of weird. But he, of course, he let it go. And so it came down to it where we ended up going to my cousin's wedding. And my cousin's wedding was around February or March. And um there was an incident that took place around the wedding. And so after the wedding, we ended up doing things that couples that aren't married were doing. And because of that incident, I got results that I was not expecting to get. But it was because he was out messing around with that girl. And so once all of these things came to play, I went and I called the girl because I had her number. Mind you, this was the same individual. She was inviting me to her birthday party, knowing that she was sleeping with the dude I was talking to. She was inviting me to her birthday parties. She was inviting me out to walk. It was like she was intentionally trying to get extremely close to me, and she kept asking me questions like specific about my relationship. Mind you, me being who I was, I didn't think nothing of it. I already knew that the girl that he was talking to was already in a three-party relationship as is. So it didn't cross my mind to think that she would try to talk to the guy that I was talking to because I already knew that she was talking to this other guy that had a girlfriend that he lived with. So it I don't know why it didn't cross my mind, but it didn't cross my mind. And so when we finally broke up, I finally called things off. Um, he of course would communicate with me trying to get back in my good graces or trying to make the relationship work. I remember that we even went and had couples counseling, right? Couples therapy. Now the counselor that I went to was a family member. I don't believe we should have ever went to that family member to have counseling. The counseling was not great, and the counselor at the time um to me seemed to be asking questions or trying to word things to where I should stay with this guy, which I didn't think was right, knowing the things that the person had already did. So I did stop going to counseling with that person because I had asked the individual a question concerning someone close to him, right? I basically asked that counselor, would he provide this same information to his daughter? He didn't say nothing. And so to me, his silence was enough for me to know that this was not the correct counseling for us to be engaged in. So I stopped going to the counseling. He would send me different emails concerning therapy or relationships because of course he loved to do this little stupid yo-yo thing, and I was at the time a stupid yo-yo, so I would go back and forth with this guy. I finally had enough though, and I just stopped. And so I was at home one day. I came in. I don't know if I was coming in from work or where I was coming in from, but he had hacked into my Chromebook and sent me a message basically saying he would do anything uh to apologize, something like he would apologize until my heart's content, something like that. Luckily enough, I was able to get a picture of this before it disappeared off of my Chromebook. So then he would go from hacking into my Chromebook to making the screen move or wiggle into different things. He would then go into hacking my router, so he would block me out of the router. Just all types of stupid things he would do. His background is in IT. He actually worked for a good logistics company. I don't know where he works now. I don't care to know where he works now, if he's working at all. I don't know. I don't care. However, at the time, his background was in IT. He was also studying cybersecurity. And so there was a part in our relationship where I discovered that he was also stalking the girl that he dated prior to me. And so there would be little weird incidents where he would be looking up stuff in Georgia, or he at one point told me something about how you could hack into people's cameras, and let's say they're sitting at the bar or they're sitting anywhere, and he would be like, yeah, you can see what they're doing. And at the time I thought, yeah, that's weird, but he was a computer guy, so I was like, okay, that's something weird a computer guy might do. I thought it was strange, but I kind of shrugged it off, but I pocketed it in my mind. And so once I discovered that he was hacking me, everything else clicked. He was also stalking the girl before me. Now, this girl that he dated prior to me was also in a completely new relationship and was also pregnant at the time. The girl stayed 2 states away from where we resided in North Carolina. She was in Georgia. 2 states away, but he still somehow was tracking and stalking this girl while he was in the relationship with me. So there was a whole bunch of red flags. Yes. Yes, yes. And at the time, I was the type of person to try and make relationships work. I thought that's what you did. Now, of course, under the circumstances, at a certain time, when the person is cheating or lying or just doing different things, there does need to come a point in time where the relationship is not worth making work. And so for me, it took me a little less than 2 years, but it took me almost 2 years to get that, and I ended the relationship. Now, um during like a few months before I ended up meeting someone else, I noticed that um the respectfully page, the little boy, that page, um they were starting to post memes that were kind of mirroring my life. And I thought it was strange. I thought I was tripping, so I would kind of ignore it. But then I also ended up putting two and two together. I believe that the girl that was dating um the guy that I was dating behind my back is cousins, or is somehow connected to the little boy person. And so I knew it was him connected to this guy somehow because of just the quality of the memes he was making. The dude is very lame. And I had to be very lame to date him. I understand that. I'm not denying it. What I'm saying is the dude is very lame. And so his creations sometimes really weren't that creative. They were just really stupid. And so it was one year where I think it was a cool gray, some type of Jordans were on sale. I had won a ticket, so I was going to get the shoes. For me, they didn't have my size. I ended up getting a size that my niece could wear. These geniuses posted a meme of the cool gray shoes with somebody's feet hanging out of the end of it. And it was Christmas time. Around that time, I ended up spending Christmas by myself. So on Christmas I had pizza and I was chilling in my apartment. So they posted a meme on their page of unwrapping a pizza box. It was just like lame, stupid stuff like that, which was out of the ordinary for the type of memes and quotes that the little respectfully boy would post. So to me, it was evident that they were somehow watching my life, and that my life was now on the world stage somehow, to where they were making memes about my life. And so there came one point where I don't know what I did or what I said online, if I said anything at all, but there was a dead bird that was placed in front of my doorstep after I realized or pointed out the whole respectfully boy was posting these stupid memes, and it was talking about my life. There was a dead bird that I found in front of my apartment door at that time. And so it was interesting because at the time my brother was staying over sometimes at my house. And so when I asked him if he knew about the bird, how the bird got there, he said he had moved the bird from in front of the door when he left. When I got back to the apartment, the bird was in front of the door. So somebody had to come back and put that dead bird directly in front of my door. Yeah. So it started off me being stalked by the lame ninja that I talked to and the professional side chick that he chose to be with. it started off with just them two doing stupid stuff. Now, mind you, I'm the type of individual where if there's a problem, you address it directly. So did I contact the female and ask her over the phone if she was talking to the male that I was entertaining? I did. I did, because if you are, that's your business. But why would you knowingly? That was my thought at the time. That's what I was on at the time. I called her. She denied it. She lied about it. But she was doing it. And so it was interesting, even me being able to look back on this now, because I kind of ended up being in a similar position that this girl who this whole time was trying to basically swap, or I don't know what her mind, I don't know what her logic was. I hope she's happy with him though. I really do, because hopefully she'll be happy enough with him that they'll stop stalking me. But whatever. It's been a few years now, so I haven't gotten any release, so I'm not sure that that's been the case. But so the dead bird popped up on the doorstep or whatever. So eventually I moved places. Me and my sister ended up getting an apartment. And so um prior to me and my sister getting a place, after a few months I ended up meeting someone else. And I had went out one night with this homeboy of mine that I had. We would always go to this bar and play pool and just chill. And so one night we went out. It was a little bit after breaking up with the guy, so maybe a few months after breaking up with him. We went out one night, and the guy used to always, I guess, like gas me up. I guess he was really just trying to get me to see myself. Maybe at the time I didn't like see myself, so I knew I wasn't ugly, but I didn't know how attractive I was, if that makes sense. And so he would be like, "I bet you can go talk to this guy," and I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" He was like, "Go see if you can get his number." And so me not thinking of it, I was like, okay. So I went and I spoke to the guy. And so they were kind of sitting around the pool table. And so I was like, I just asked if I could join the pool game with them. They said yes. I ended up playing pool. I think I won. I think I won the game because I'm kind of all right in pool. I haven't played in a while though. But from there, he got my number. We communicated for a little bit. He called me that night. I didn't answer. But we ended up talking like the next few days or whatever. So meeting him, we started hanging around a whole lot. So at the time, I think he was living with a roommate. Shortly after starting talking to me, he ended up getting his own place. So when he got his own place, I ended up kind of being at his place. He gave me a key. He at one point wanted me to move in, but I didn't move in because my mom always told me you don't live with no guy. So while I was talking to um the male that started the stalking, he would be coming to my house because he claimed he had his own house, but it was really his mother's house. Whole nother story. We're not getting into that today. So he would typically always be at my house or I would be at his mama's house, but he never went and got his own place. So this guy got his own place shortly after meeting me, gave me a key. And so anytime they would have functions or do little things or have soccer games, he would invite me. So I would go. And so the connection that we had during that time was never, there was really never anything wrong with it. And so to me, it was a breath of fresh air, considering that I had just got out of something that was very toxic and back and forth. The dude was always just cheating, lying, doing dumb stuff. This person was not doing those things. Like even when it came to just simple things, like he would take note of things that I would like and he would actually do them. Like even if it came to me liking a certain thing, like he would cook it just because he knew that I would like it, or he would do what I felt like a guy who genuinely likes you does to show you that he genuinely likes you. And so we got along very well. He eventually went to trucking school as a suggestion that I made. Like the relationship, it just flowed, it worked well. During that relationship, after we had already been intimate, that's when he told me that he was already in a committed relationship. Now his partner at the time did not stay in the US. She stayed in Africa. And so at the time, being out of a relationship and then getting into a relationship at the time that was complete opposite, and it literally during that time brought me happiness, peace, and joy. Was I selfish to stay with this person knowing that he had a partner? I can admit that I was. Yes, I was. Um, did I stop talking to him after he told me? No, because my logic at the time was we had already been intimate. So in my mind, it was like we had already committed the adultery. And so I just continued to move forward with it. I was at peace selfishly, as far as being at peace with that there was nothing, I guess, bad transpiring between the two of us. Like, he added to the happiness that I had, and I believe I added to his happiness as well. And so my logic at the time was to just carry on. But I had made up in my mind that now, knowing that he had a partner, that he would never ever really be my person, that this was just a temporary situation. And so that's how I set my mind to view it. So when the relationship or situationship started to get kind of rocky or back and forth, where I noticed certain things concerning his character, then that's when we started kind of experiencing turbulence in the situation. And so he eventually was telling me that he didn't want to talk to me no more. So because I had already settled in my mind that this is going to be a temporary situation as well, it was nothing for me to be done when he said he wanted to be done. And so I was done when he said he was done. I'm thinking that was going to be it, but that was not it. So he also turned around and popped up at my apartment. He popped up at my apartment, knocking on my door. He didn't call. Maybe he did call, but I'm pretty sure I had blocked him by then, because I'm quick to block somebody. I am quick to block somebody. Quick. So he popped up at my house claiming that he had got me this phone or whatever. He ended up breaking the phone. I don't know. At the time, I probably needed a new phone. So he claimed that he had a phone and then brought it to my house. Blah 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 blah. I think maybe for a little bit we started like cordially communicating, but not getting back into anything. And so, because he said he was done and I was done because he said he was done, I did it. And so he would also continue to, I guess, just like keep in contact with me, check on me, or different little things like that. Eventually, I started going out and stuff again. So, um, one of the friends in the group I used to I became cool with. And so sometimes we would go out and do like go to museums or just hang out and chill, go get something to eat. Just simple cordial stuff like that. And so was I aware that the friend liked me? Yes. But in my mind I could not talk to friends that I knew were friends. So because I knew that they were friends, even though I felt like they wouldn't have an issue with it, I had an issue with it. And so I didn't proceed forward with the relationship with that individual. And so I ended up meeting or talking to somebody else. That person ended up running into um that person ended up running into the guy I had just stopped talking to. And that guy put a bug in this person's ear to make it seem like I was this. I don't know what he told the guy, but the guy ended up raping me. This guy now owns a club in downtown Greensboro. and he raped me. He forced himself on me and he raped me. I believe he did so because of what the guy I was dating prior told him. Now, what he told him, I don't know. I just know Lil Tink Tink raped me. Okay. And so after that, I stopped dating. I stopped going out for a little bit. Um, that was that. So all of this cyber stalking stuff started because of the Liberian male that I met at this girl's graduation party. So he opened the door to the stalking. He somehow got the little respectfully person in on it. Somehow it went across the world somehow because now everybody can see my life. Even they can see in my car. They can see all of my things that should be private. They have access to, which I never consented to give any of these individuals access to my life. And so that's how I ended up being stalked. Now, how I ended up having smoke from celebrities, we might have to do a part two because the things, I, I don't know where these celebrities came from, what they smoked from me. Maybe it was when I started talking about Jezebel and Jezebel's kids because we know that they promote Satanism. So I'm assuming that's where it came in at. I don't know how my name tried to be Drake because I could never be Drake. First of all, we are two completely different colors. He is a male, I believe, unless he is one of their, tricks in the book. He's a male. I'm a female. I could not be Drake. I could not be Drake. But somehow, all I know is I'm not like us. That's all I do know that. I do know I'm not like us. But yeah, that's how I ended up being cyberstalked and raped and watched by celebrities and the rest of the world. So it all started because of a sick individual from Liberia, and now I'm here. So that's my story. That's what I got for you. So yeah, I'll catch y'all next time. This won't be edited. I'm just gonna post it. So it is what it is. But of course, I'm sure you've already seen it because, well, my phone's hacked, my computer's hacked, such is my life at the moment. So that's my story. Maybe a different day I'll do a Q&A. So if you have any extra questions, you know, make sure you drop them down below if I ever, you know, make a Q&A video or whatever. But yeah, that's how I ended up stalked by not one, not two, but worldwide. So yeah, my name is Kashaya. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.